Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a Guardian article. It's titled Veterans on Trump, National Guard, and LA Protests.
Right. And this piece, it really offers a specific viewpoint, doesn't it? It's looking through the eyes of veterans.
Exactly. On these really interconnected topics, the National Guard's role in, domestic protests, actions tied to former President Trump.
And specifically zooming in on the LA protests as a sort of case study within that. It's quite focused.
So our mission here for this deep dive is to really pull out what the article itself highlights. What insights did these veterans share based on their own, unique experiences?
Yeah, we're sticking just to what's in this source, not bringing in outside stuff. And, one thing the article mentions right away is this discomfort some veterans felt
Discomfort about what specifically?
about seeing the National Guard used for essentially domestic law enforcement during protests. It felt like blurring lines to them.
Okay, yeah, the article gets into that. I remember it quoting one veteran, I think a former Marine, saying something like, "That's not what we trained for." Seeing Guard members equipped like combat troops on American streets, it just felt wrong.
Yes, that quote really captures the tension, doesn't it? The article uses it to explore that feeling. It wasn't just that they were there, but the look of it, the perception of mission creep.
Right, mission creep. And the source ties this perception to the leadership context, too, correct?
It does. That's where the connection to former President Trump, as presented in the article, comes in.
Has so.
Well, it includes views from other veterans who worried that, political rhetoric or maybe high-level directives were shaping how the Guard was used or presented.
Was there a specific example tied to LA?
Yeah, the article gives one related to the LA protests. A veteran apparently noted that the language used, things like dominating the streets, felt off,
Off out.
like language you'd use against an enemy, not fellow citizens. And that really struck them, especially given their own combat or overseas experience. Jarring was the word, I think.
That's interesting. And the article really emphasizes how their military background provides this specific lens, right?
Absolutely. They understand things like command structure, rules of engagement, the psychological side of having a military presence.
So that understanding informs the critique of the tactics or the posture during the protests.
Exactly. The article brings in another viewpoint, maybe someone with Guard experience, who highlighted the difference between, say, disaster response training,
Which is a common Guard role.
right, versus sudden riot control duty. The suggestion being that these rapid deployments sometimes put Guard members in situations they weren't perhaps ideally prepared for, based on their usual state missions.
And this is where the LA protest details become important, grounding these broader points.
Correct. The article includes observations from veterans who were actually near the LA events.
Oh, what did they observe?
Things like specific interactions they saw, or just the sheer scale of the military-style presence. And they link that back to their general unease about the Guard's role and, importantly, the political context driving it.
Okay, so like contrasting it maybe.
Yes, one veteran quoted reportedly did just that. Contrasted LA with other domestic situations they'd seen the Guard respond to, floods, hurricanes, whatever.
And noted a difference.
A difference in atmosphere, yeah. And in the perceived intent behind the deployment, which this veteran, according to the article, linked partly to the political climate of that moment.
Okay, so wrapping this up for you, our listener, this dive into the Guardian article really shows how veterans, drawing on their very specific backgrounds, offer these distinct, sometimes critical insights into using the Guard domestically, and how politics, like those surrounding former President Trump, can intersect with that.
Yeah, we've seen how this one source frames veteran perspectives on the Guard, the leadership context, and specific events like LA, all through that lens of military service.
So here's something for you to think about after listening. The article clearly suggests military experience shapes how people view domestic security actions. Why might a veteran understanding of command or force posture or even mission intent lead them to see events like the LA protests differently than someone without that background? What unique value does hearing from this group add to how we talk about these complex issues?